Hey students, in this video I'm going to explain how to use direct variation in word problems. Alright, so one thing you got to do is recall that the constant of direct variation is calculated by y divided by x, the constant being the k. So we can write here on the side the k is y divided by x. This then can help you create an equation in direct variation of y equals kx. So let's look at this first part. We're just finding the constant. As you read, you need to look for the phrase of y varies directly with x. That way you remember that anytime you identify the words varies directly or related proportionally, you have your y and your x right before that and right after that. So let's look at this first example. The income of a computer analyst varies directly. So I'm going to highlight those words, varies directly. And remember that whatever was mentioned before y varies directly is your y. So the income of the computer analyst, that's going to be the y. And then as a number, varies directly as the number of hours worked. Number of hours worked. So that's going to be your x. And the strategy that I showed you in class was to create like a table of the x and y values that you're going to be using and label what the x and y values represent. So the income is your y value and the hours worked is your x. So keeping that in mind, let's look at the next phrase. You have $256 for working 8 hours. So we're going to write 8 hours brings you $256 of income. These x and y values are enough to create your constant, which is asking here, find the constant of variation, k equals y over x. So we're going to use these two values to find the k. We're going to have 256 divided by 8, because it's y divided by x. And this will result in k equals 32. So this is your constant. I'm not asking you to solve for anything yet. Let's try it one more time. The gallons of water used to take a shower vary directly. So again, anything that was mentioned before the gallons of water, that will be considered your y. And it varies directly with the number of minutes in the shower. So that will be your x. So on the table, we will have x being the minutes, y being the gallons. So then it says 8-minute shower uses 48 gallons of water. So 8 minutes, 48 gallons. And again, with these x and y values, we're going to find our constant, find the constant of variation, y over x. K equals 48 divided by 8, and therefore k equals 6. All right, so that's the part of finding the constant. So what we're going to do now is apply that process here to find a missing value. The question says how many people attend if the sales of a game are $15,000. So let's start from the beginning and look for those keywords. The sales of a baseball game vary directly with the number of people attending. So the sales vary directly with the number of people. Y varies directly with X. So when you create your mini table, your sales is your Y and the number of people is your X. Then you have if the sales for a game are $12,000 when 800 people go, you can write 800 right here and 12,000 for the sales. These are your x and y values that can help you find the constant. And that's going to be 12,000 divided by 800. And that equals 15, which means that 15 is your constant. So we're going to use this constant of 15 and then write an equation in the form of y equals kx. So y equals 15x. How many people attend the sale if the sales of the game are 15,000? So picture yourself with this scenario of y equals 15x, where y is the sales and x is the people. They're asking for how many people. So they're asking for x. That means they're giving you the y of $15,000. So what we're going to do is substitute this y with $15,000 and then solve for x. So the x is next to 15 as a coefficient, which means we're going to divide by 15 because 15 times something gives you 15,000. So the answer will be x equals 1,000. 1,000 people will have to go. All right, number 4. Ounces of medication vary directly with the weight of a patient. So we have the ounces of medication and weight of a patient. Y varies directly with X. So in the table, we're going to have ounces of medication as your Y, and then varies directly with the weight of the people. So the weight of patient. All right, and then it says if a 120-pound adult, so that's the weight, it requires 3/4 of an ounce. So 3/4 of an ounce. How many ounces? So they want to know how many ounces, which is the Y, are required for 200 adults. So same process from the previous example. We're going to find the K equals Y over X. Substitute with the value that you already have. You have 3/4 over 120. Some people are using decimals, so 0.75 over 120. And then you divide. So when you divide this in your calculator, it's going to either give you a decimal version or a fraction version, depending on how you typed it. In class, we agreed to keep it as a fraction, so we're going to do 1 over 160 as your constant. So that will lead you to writing the equation y equals k over x in the format of y equals 1 over 160x, which then will help you find the missing value. They're missing the y, so we need to substitute the x. Y equals 1 over 160 times 200. And then when this is simplified, you're going to end up with y equals 5/4. All right, last problem to go over. The number of shares vary directly with the amount of dividends received per year. So number of shares, amount of dividends per year. If you read carefully, it tells you 5 shares receives $12 per year. So if we set this up in a mini table with things that they represent, this is y varies directly with x. Y is your shares. X is your dividends. Which, if you read, it says money. And we're going to have 5 shares equals for $12 per year. This is the combination of x and y that can give you that constant. So 5 divided by 12. If you simplify 5 over 12, it still stays at 5 over 12. So we're going to have y equals 5 over 12x because it's following the format of y equals kx. 5 over 12 is multiplied times x if they give you the x. Or if they give you the y, you're going to divide this by 5/12. The question says, how many shares of stocks will she need to receive $24? $24 goes here, and we don't know the shares. So what we're going to do is substitute 24 for the x, because that's the money. And then this will result in y equals 5 over 12 times 24. Before I show you the answer here, though, look at the pattern you have. You go from 12 to 24. So some students saw that you could just multiply times 2. 12 times 2 is 24. And same thing here, 5 times 2 is 10. Also, when you type this in the calculator, you get 10. So that was the answer. All right, hope this video helps you understand direct variation.